You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Night Cricket Podcast special, where we are covering the IPL. Maxwell Brown, you're in the house. We've got big news. Last night, we were taken out for dinner by Visit Barbados, and we had a bloody great time. So you should definitely go and visit Barbados because they're amazing, and also their people are brilliant. We spent the night with two pretty famous cricketers, Max, didn't we?
We did, yes. And one very, very tall cricketer as well. I spent the evening sat opposite Joel Garner. That was ridiculous. And Jack got to meet the man who ruined his day in once upon a time, many years ago, Ian Bradshaw.
Both the Champions Trophy final.
Yeah, both incredibly lovely blokes. Simon Hughes was there as well. Hopefully we can get something sorted out with him at some point soon as well. And kind of ridiculous evening, really. And
all the organisers.
I think it happened.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, you think it happened? Yeah, we've got picture evidence, so we will get up already for our Patreon members. They have seen the little and large, the Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley recreation from Maxwell Brown and Joel Garner, and it was one hell of an evening. And thank you to Visit Barbados. So if you do want to go out to the World Cup, Barbados hosting 9 games of the World Cup, including the final, and there's also the England White Ball Series later in November. So what are you waiting for? Go book your tickets. But Max, we're here today to talk about the IPL because there's been a low-scoring thriller. This is what I now class as a low-scoring thriller. 169 defended by KKR after some pretty generous captaincy from Hardik Pandya is going to be my read of this game, and Mumbai Indians not being able to get across the line because they're just not very good. We'll also cover a 1-run margin victory for the Sunrisers over Rajasthan Royals, which is huge in the grand scheme of the playoffs. And then we'll also preview the weekend's fixtures before our Sunday show. Max, let's get into it. What happened between KKR and Mumbai Indians?
Well, like you said, I think it classes a low-scoring thriller, Ross, especially this year. I mean, it was under 200. I think under 200 counts as a low-scoring thriller at the moment. But 169 defended by KKR. And to be honest, they did a pretty damn good job of getting to 169 because they were in all sorts of bother at 57 for 5 when Rinku Singh fell. The first ball after the power play, it was pretty bad with KKR. We spoke beforehand about the potential for KKR's top order to maybe fold a bit in the face of Jasprit Bumrah. We were half right because they did fold, but it wasn't Bumrah. It was Tashara who'd had a bit of a rude entrance into the IPL, not the good rude, the bad one. But he did really well. It was
a bit all over the place. He was a little bit like if you bowl like 2 really wide deliveries, they're not going to be expecting the searing Yorker kind.
Well, maybe, but it was the ones that hit the pitch when that caused the problems. It was a bit sticky and 3 catches off his bowling. KKR in all sorts of bother. But fair play to Venki Iyer, who steadied the ship and then sort of got things going a bit again. Manish Pandey also, the lesser spotted Manish Pandey as an impact sub, 42 or 31, did pretty well, to be fair, as well. The pair of them got KKR back into something of a competitive.
It's like the highest ceiling, isn't it? That's the highest ceiling possible for Manish Pandey.
135 strike rate. Yeah, that was him on speed. That was extra. But I mean, Bumrah came back and finished the innings off just when it looked like KKR might get to a half decent total, maybe 180, 190. Bumrah came back and ruined everything.
We did, yeah. But I mean, Venki Iyer did barbecue Dre Russ.
Oh, yes, he did. I forgot about that. Because just after Dre Russ had come in and immediately hit 6, and you thought, that was the moment, wasn't it? You thought, here we go. KKR on for an incredible comeback. And Venki Iyer sold him up the river big time. And that opened the door, really, didn't it, for Bumrah to come in, take those last 3 wickets, 169. And he thought that, Mumbai would probably chase it down fairly quickly. But no, Mitchell Starc got Ishan Kishan out just when he looked like he might fire, and then it was really a bit weird, wasn't it? Namandir came in at number 3 instead of someone good. He stayed around for a bit before immediately getting out to Baron Chakravarti, and then basically they had no answer, did they, to the spin of Mumbai of KKR in the middle, and kind of a sort of a wet attempt, really. Tim David almost threatened at the end, but didn't really. So okay, Sky batted well for his 56 of 35. I think, fair play to him. But
while he was there was anything was possible, right? Anything was possible. But
once he fell, that was sort of it, wasn't it? And then Starc massaged his figures with 3 quick wickets at the end, 4 for 33. He's back now, no problems, all sorted.
He was never gone, mate.
All fine.
What was I saying on the very last show? Have faith in Mitchell Starc. Repaid.
Yes.
Anyway, Max, it was a huge victory after all, because this knocks out Mumbai Indians. And Mumbai Indians, I think, going into this tournament, on paper, they're a glistening lineup, haven't they? They have got some absolute superstars in the batting department, plus Jasprit Bumrah. But Hardik Pandya here is probably. I'm not a Rohit stan. I'm not a Virat Kohli stan. I'm not completely against Hardik Pandya, but there is some blame to put at his door, because KKR were there for the kill, right? They literally had them by the throat, and they, for some reason, decided to let them off. They let Venkaiah and Manish Pandey, of all people, rebuild, and gave them a sniff. It didn't feel like this was going to be enough runs at the Wankhede, but the pitch was two-paced. They knew what was happening with the spinners. But Hardik Pandya decided to bowl himself, as we've seen throughout this tournament, and leave Jasprit Bumrah till the end, rather than trying to bowl these guys out
for the kill.
Trying to get them out in the 13th or 14th over, which was very much a possibility. So, Max, am I being too harsh on the decision making? But my view is he's done this throughout this tournament.
Well, the other thing is that Piyush Chawla was left with an over to bowl, having gone for 15 off his 3 and taken a wicket and looking pretty tasty. And you saw what all 2 of them, but you saw what both of KKR spinners did. Actually, identical figures: 4 overs, 2 for 22, 11 dots, 2 fours. The only thing to ruin that was Sunil Narayan bowled a wide. That's the only difference between their 2 figures. That's a nice little bit of pointless stattery for you. But yeah, I mean, you look at that, you think, why have you left him out there? Why have you bowled yourself 4 overs? Kurt Sayers only bowled 2, and it's just you do feel that if a team is 57 for 5, I know you've got the impact sub, right? So Andre Russell's coming in at 9, and you're like, that's kind of cheating. But even then, you've got to think that something's gone wrong, and you've let a team off the hook there. And you have to question the decision making again, don't you? It just doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to it. It all feels a bit random. Is it just things that's being concocted in Hardik Pandya's head, and he's just throwing out ideas in desperation to try and look like some edgelord? Is that where we've ended up?
Well, it's like one of those things when like a football manager has got a really good assistant manager, and the assistant manager is actually the one who's really good at the tactics. And actually could build out, this is how we play, etc. Though they get separated for one reason or another. The manager who took
captain's decided he's going to impact sub the one who's behind everything.
Yeah, the manager takes all the plaudits in the press. You don't see the guy behind the scenes. Now you've got kind of the split, right? When he was at Gujarat Titans, Neshra was there kind of pulling the strings with him and kind of guiding him. And now this is looking a little bit just like they can't do it without each other. It's quite a romantic tale, I see it as, and with Gujarat Titans,
more of a tragedy than a romance at the moment.
Yeah, well, a tragic romance. There you go, Max. We'll have a little both. But overall, this was a really, really disappointing performance. I think it just summed up Mumbai Indians' season quite nicely. They're now out. They're out There's no chance they're making the playoffs.
I mean, even then, though, right? Bumrah came back, and you can say maybe they let them off the hook and could have bought in Bumrah earlier, but also he did bring him back at the end, and he did finish it very quickly. And 169, you still got to be chasing that, right? Like whatever you say, you also have to lay some of the blame at the batters. It wasn't the easiest pitch for sure, but that's not a difficult chase in the grand scheme of things, and you got to question what's sort of going on. Like I'm not really sure what they were doing against the spinners. It was kind of
bloody
aimless wafting, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Deer's shot against Chakravarti, his name might as well be Odeer. It was that bad.
Might as well have had his eyes closed.
It was a proper village hack across the line.
Yeah, and it's so unnecessary as well. Very odd. Yeah, all very odd. And just really disappointing from Mumbai, isn't it? But that's been their season. Very disappointing.
Well, it's that classic moniker, right? Money can't buy you class, and that's where they've ended up. And the royal purple of KKR sets them up very, very nicely. They move on to 7-3, 14 points so far. Pretty much gets them right in the driving seat now, right? They're 2 points behind Rajasthan Royals after 10 games. Those two,
strong net run rate as well.
Yeah, they're going to be in the playoffs. Mumbai Indians, well, I think they're going to be some players going, do you know what? I might as well not play for the next 3 games. I'm going to get on an early flight home. So
some serious danger, Ross. You're in serious danger of RCB not finishing bottom here.
I know, it is worrying. Mumbai Indians have now lost 4 on the bounce. They are disgracing themselves. And if you're a Mumbai Indians fan, I'm sorry that you're having to watch this because you've enjoyed the splendor and the glamour of 5 wins. So what goes around sometimes comes around for each of the franchises, and it's a good lesson learned that actually, if your mini auction strategy is all over the place, you're going to struggle. I think that sums up that game quite nicely, Max.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way. It was a bit crap, wasn't it?
It was a bit crap. A game that wasn't crap was Sunrisers versus Rajasthan Royals. And this was always going to be a decent game. You've got probably the most rounded team in the IPL in Rajasthan Royals with a seriously good batting lineup, seriously good bowling lineup. And then you've got SRH, who have got a game plan which will rival anybody's in franchise cricket and a hell of individual talent. We had seen it on a couple of occasions click together, but in the last 2 games, they'd lost 2 on the bounce after winning 4 on the bounce. And we were looking for a bit of a comeback from Cum Dog's men. And I think we got the response we were looking for, didn't we here, Max?
Well, we did, and it wasn't exactly the blueprint that we expected or have come to expect from Sunrisers, was it? I mean, sure, they managed to get over 200. Was it the 5th time this season? But only just, and for the loss of 3 wickets as well. It was a bit curious, really. Travis Head, 58 or 44 is not really as fast as you'd expect him to go, and possibly. Not just struggling a little bit for fluidity, and Abhishek not his usual self either. But who had Nitish Kumar Reddy as top scorer? What a find he's been for Sunrisers this year, and he can bowl. There's one to look out for. He could be a real useful guy to have around in the IPL. Big bucks. But yeah, I mean, Heinrich Klaassen. A one-man takedown of Yuzi Chahal towards the end. And that got them to 201. It was, like I said, it was kind of odd. I mean, they hit plenty of 6s as well. I think just don't know. Just couldn't quite get it going, really. And it feels a bit weird to be saying they've scored 201 and feel like they couldn't quite get it going. But, three wickets down, you always feel like maybe you've left something out there. But 201 always takes chasing. And, despite Joss Butler adding to the casualties of Impact sub Golden Ducks as a part of them, I thought losing count now, and Sanju Samson, a 3-ball duck from him. Despite that absolutely dreadful start for Rajasthan, it was in the bag. They were cruising. They were trundling along at 10 and over, 2 wickets down, not a care in the world. Riyan Parag Jaiswal smoking it all over the place, absolutely fine. Yeah, fine. He got out. Hetmeyer bashed to 6. Robin Powell looked fine. It was all in control. It was never an issue. And then a little bit of a wobble towards the end. Cummins took a couple of wickets, and then you still had was it 13 off the final over that they needed. Ashwin was on strike, but he managed to get himself off strike. And Robin Powell 12 or 5. I mean, you probably give the batting side a pretty good chance at that point. It's further away from winning than Rajasthan should have been at that time, but still went for it. But Bhuvi Kumar bowled an absolutely incredible final over. He just went for Yorkers. He went for Yorkers and he nailed 5 of them. One of them went for 4. The worst ball he bowled, worst ball he bowled in the whole over was the final one when they needed 1 for a super over, and he trapped Robin Powell LBW with a leg stump full toss. It was bizarre. The whole thing just made no sense. But I mean, what a win! They really snatched that from nowhere, Sunrisers, and that's massive, absolutely massive for them. I mean, Rajasthan are pretty much home and hosed, like they're not going to blow it from there. But Sunrisers were getting dragged into the fight, and they've got themselves some breathing space now. It's a massive victory for them with Delhi and Punjab's. No, that's Rajasthan. Sunrisers, well, Mumbai and Gujarat and Punjab still to play. So I mean, they're now looking in a pretty solid space. But yeah, Bhuvi, nerveless, death bowler. Who knew?
Well, it's quite interesting, I think, because I thought if you look at the stats on this season, Bhuvi Kumar's not really been at his best. I think it's probably fair to say. But they've kind of been able to get a little bit more out of them than usual. So Natarajan, I think, has now played 8 of the games. Bhuvi's played 10. And we are always a little bit concerned around the domestic bowling stock of Sunrisers, right? Because they're made out of glass. So it's been really impressive that they've managed to get these guys onto the field. Obviously, Unadkat has taken on some of the burden. And ultimately, they've managed to pull off a pretty good victory here. I think on the couple of the previous shows, we've highlighted a little bit of concern. When a team is only 3 wickets down, you're a bit just like, could you have gone a little bit further? Could you have gone a little bit faster? And it was here which they managed to wrestle back a bit of control. Those early upfront wickets of Samson and Butler. Max, I love an impact sub first baller as well, especially when you're a batter. I think it's the 5th time in the IPL so far. But here it was a pretty decent performance. It was just quite unfortunate at the end for Rovman Powell, who is one of the maybe he's not an unsung hero, but he's kind of, after the big move in the mini auction, you don't expect brilliance from him, and I think that's underestimating the person. He's the captain of the West Indies T20 side. He has shown on multiple occasions what he's got in the locker, and I think it's, again, to lose by 1 run is going to be a bitter pill for Rajasthan Royals to swallow, but at the end of it, a massive win for SRH. Max, Riyan Parag. He's been a bit of a meme player in the IPL for the last kind of 5 seasons. He's still very young, but he's played an awful lot of IPL cricket in the pressure, the cauldron, as we'd call it. Are you continuously impressed with him, or are we just seeing a little bit of luck at the moment go his way?
I think it's difficult to be impressed by someone who's been telling everyone he's going to be doing this for 5 years. Maybe he's vindicated now. I think he's clearly had a really good season, and everyone's, people have said he's talented. I don't know whether people have said he's talented or he's said it so much that people have just started to believe it. Believe your own hype, all that sort of thing. But no, he's had a great season. I think maybe it is. He's still very young, isn't he? So maybe it is finally the time, off the back of the smat where he was, pretty impressive this year. Finally, just showing that he has the ability. But I guess the next step is carrying your side over the line. Probably not going to blame him for Rajasthan not winning this one, because he did a pretty good job. But maybe stand up, take your team home, get it done. It was, if I'm being hypercritical, but I've been very impressed with it this year. I think boundary hitting, 6 hitting, making that move up to 4 and making the place his own. And it fits nicely in what Rajasthan are trying to do as well. It's a good position for him to have. He plays it well. It allows Hetmar and Powell to come in later down the order and do what Rajasthan want them to do. So it all really works. It's just going to be interesting when it comes to retentions time. A, how many they're allowed to retain, and B, who it ends up being. Because you got Jaiswal vying for that as well. Sanju, Joss Butler. Are you going to let him go? Like, what's it going to be?
It is really tough. I'm hoping they go for like 8 retentions. I'd quite like that. I don't really like being the big kind of shift every couple of seasons. I like a little bit of stability.
It's quite hard to keep up with as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
makes our job difficult.
And just think like the transfers, right? You look in football, all the transfer rumours. Having that in cricket, that'd be good fun. Max, there was some unbelievably shit umpiring in this game as well. So Travis Head was actually out stumped because the third umpire, who clearly had just been picked up off the street, didn't know that you could kind of move forward a couple more frames. And Travis Head's bat was clearly in the air. Obviously, because he's Australian and they are the holder of the Ashes, the moral Ashes, and they guard the spirit of cricket, he duly chopped on the next ball and was out. So that was... But sometimes you're just like, can you just get people who can do their job? Like, competence should not be something that is kind of just overlooked. It should be a prerequisite. So it's a little bit frustrating, but I thought we'd get that little dig in at the shit umpire.
Max, absolutely. Fortunately, I guess didn't really matter.
No, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't. But a 1-run victory is, it's tough to swallow, but a huge win, as you said, for Sunrisers. What do you think now? We've got Rajasthan Royals on 16. You've got KKR on 14. LSG, Sunrisers, both on 12 after 10. And then you've got CSK and Delhi on 10 points. What are you seeing? What's in your... if you were Mystic Max and you're looking into your ball, what do you think is going to happen now from the playoff perspective?
On the one hand, I wanna back my boys in yellow, right? Because they've still got some favourable fixtures left. They've got a good net run rate. Like they've got that in their favour. But also they were so bad against Punjab, like so bad that they didn't know what they were doing. And Mr. Fazura's gone as well, so I'm a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried about them. I think massive for Sunrisers, that win, and puts them in good stead. Top 2. All good and gone. I reckon I'll say Chennai are going to replace Lucknow. That's what I'm going to go for it. Yeah, just because it's what I want to happen.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to take a very quick break, just 10 seconds, just so we can fit in the ads, and we'll be back with a preview of this weekend's cricket in the IPL.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where it's the Friday night IPL review show. And we're about to preview an RCB fixture versus Gujarat Titans, and also 2 fixtures happening on Sunday in the Punjab Kings facing off CSK in the reverse fixture, and LSG playing Kolkata Knight Riders. Max, let's start with the laughing stock of the IPL. It is Virat Kohli's boys in blue and red. RCB have had a pretty torrid time in this IPL, but things in the last few games have been threatening to turn around their fortunes, and they might get away with not winning the wooden spoon. They are up against a Gujarat Titans side who are just such a weird entity now. They have refused in some cases to pick their best 11. They've played absolutely awfully in some games, brilliantly in others. And they're not very exciting, as their bomb squad has kind of fizzled out. I think it's probably fair to say. Max, where do you think this game is going to be won and lost, and where would you put your money?
Can I just say, who even cares at this point? Like, what's the point of this game? Come on. I mean, 52 games into the IPL. Like, we love the IPL here, but like, who wants to sit through RCB Gujarat in this IPL? I mean, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, guys. Put on a spectacle, but I can't see it. I mean, they're just they're both not that good, are they? I feel like they're at home. Will Jacks, that 100 he hit. I feel like RCB have got more about them with the bat, obviously. And Bangalore, Will Jacks, small boundaries. Glenn Maxwell, small boundaries. Glenn Maxwell can still bat. I don't even know anymore. Gujarat's, they don't have that up top as much, do they? Darson's a bit pedestrian. Shubman Gill can only bat Ahmedabad. And it's not until you get into like David Miller and Tawatia and Rashid Khan that you think things might get a bit exciting. So I feel like RCB could outscore Gujarat, and it might not even matter how bad their bowling is. That's where I feel. So I'm gonna go with RCB, and I reckon they're gonna do it. But Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed could turn things on their head and end it before it even starts. But I'd like let's at least have some runs to watch.
Fair enough.
What do you reckon?
I would just purely on the fact that I predicted that RCB would finish bottom. I want Gujarat to win, purely for selfish reasons, right?
Makes sense.
But I think you're right. Though. If Gujarat win here, there is an outside chance of them making the playoffs. It is remote. it is remote. They are not quite down and out like Mumbai Indians are with that, but this is very much. I think this is very much last chance saloon for them, and even then, they're probably going to die at the end of the Western. So it's probably a little bit pointless. But anyway, I think it'll be a reasonably close game. What I'm really disappointed of is that there's only one game on the Saturday. I'm not really sure.
A lot of that this year.
Like, just get the tournament over and done with, lads. We've got the World Cup coming on. Like, why isn't there 2 games happening on a Saturday? It is bananas. There are 2 games on the Sunday, Max. And if I'm perfectly honest, they're not blockbuster games, but we've got a blockbuster team in Punjab Kings. The Kings of Comedy have excited, haven't they? They beat CSK a few days ago, and now in the reverse fixture, we will probably see a completely different side. Max, your boys in yellow, the lemon yellow that CSK play in, are you thinking that they're going to win?
Well, about 2 minutes ago, I said they were going to make the playoffs instead of LSG, and then I'm looking at this game and I'm like, I think Punjab are going to take this. This is Darren Mashala. You got, Chennai have lost basically half their pace bowling. Punjab's pace bowling's quite good. Well, it should be, but it's okay. Well, Rabada's good. Okay,
Nathan Ellis is good as well, but he's yet to play.
Good. He's not played at all, and but you think the altitude, the ball flying, and you look at the 2 sides and the firepower, and CSK doesn't have the firepower compared to Punjab Kings, really. Johnny Bairstow, if he gets going, I feel pro Punjab on this one.
Punjab, that's sacrilegious. That is. The CSK fans watching this are going to be in the YouTube comments saying you are not one of us. You're not a yellow boy.
I know, it makes complete mockery of it, but I've got a feeling. Got a feeling it's going to be Punjab's day.
Okay,
watch me be wrong.
It's all right. I'll back CSK because when the going gets tough, CSK get going. So I reckon.
Yeah, that's true.
A CSK win with a little bit of Dhoni black magic sprinkled over the top, and then LSG versus KKR. Huge game for LSG. They've had a bit of an uptick in results, and they've managed to claw themselves into a competitive position. I believe they are performing more than the sum of their parts, and you've seen 1 or 2 players really kind of step up, especially in Marcus Stoinis. So if you're a Marcus Stoinis fan and you own a printout massive head of Marcus Stoinis, perhaps share that on social media because it'd be worthwhile doing so. That is reference to Dave on our Discord, and you can access our Discord on patreon.com/cricketpod for kind of $4 or $5 a month, and it keeps the show going, and it makes the IPL and the World Cup and the Ashes and every single Test series and everything India doing, everything Pakistan are doing far more entertaining. But Max, here I'm going to struggle to get over that KKR won't beat them, because even in the rubbish shit heap that was the Wankhede today, KKR came out on top because they have got a clear strategy for how they're batting. Even they've got Manish Pandey hitting over 80 strike rate, right? So there is clearly a culture underneath Gautam Gambhir that is bubbling along nicely, and they look pretty imperious, would be my reading of them. So I'm going to say that the purple and golds will win. Do you think Lucknow stand a good chance, though, at home?
They could do, but I'm going to go with you on KKR just because we saw Lucknow's last win at home was back to the bad old days of it being a bit turgid and stodgy, and KKR overcame that pretty well today. They've got a bowling lineup that is pretty well suited to deal with those kinds of conditions and make life very difficult for the opposition. And if it ends up being a good deck to bat on, then KKR have probably got the measure of luck now in that department as well. So I'd say, whatever happens, really, I quite like KKR. And if Mayank Yadav's out of the picture, that's one less weapon in the LSG armory. So yeah, let's go two for KKR, and I'll make sure I put my money on Lucknow when it comes to it.
Well, that will pretty much wrap up KKR being kind of probably in the top two of the playoff positions, and make it very interesting for Lucknow for the rest of the tournament. So it would open up the CSK slide in to your DMs factor of the playoffs. Well, Max, I believe that is all we have time for tonight on this Friday. So thank you to the 200 odd people who have watched live. Been an absolute pleasure to share it with you. We are very much looking forward to Sunday, where we will catch you again live. So hit subscribe and hit like on the videos. As you can see on screen, we are lucky enough to be sponsored by two brilliant organisations. We've got Manscaped, for the company who will sell you a shaver to get your balls in gear, especially for this summer. Doing that chafing on those little swim shorts of yours. And then you've also got Serious Cricket, who will sell you probably a pair of swim shorts, if I'm perfectly honest. They have all kinds of different equipment. And if you go to our show notes, click on the link, you'll get yourself a nice treat and enjoy your cricketing summer. So, Max, it's been a pleasure.
Always. See you later.
Goodbye, everybody.